Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, it's never enough? You invest time, effort, and energy into building a connection, only to feel like you're the one doing all the chasing while she pulls further away. It's frustrating, isn't it? The late-night texts, the overthinking, the constant questioning of where things went wrong. But here's a truth most men don't realize. Attracting respect and admiration isn't about doing more. It's about doing less, silently, strategically, and confidently. You see, in today's world, where social media glorifies the loudest voices and fleeting validation, standing out as a man of value requires something rare: quiet strength. Women respect men who don't need to prove their worth, but embody it in everything they do. It's not about being the richest or the most charming. It's about how you carry yourself in silence, how you handle challenges, and how you project an aura of self-respect that demands admiration without a single word. But let's face it, most men unknowingly sabotage their own value. They overpursue, overgive, or worse, compromise their standards to gain approval. Sound familiar? The good news is, you don't have to rely on these ineffective tactics. There's a better way, a way to flip the dynamic entirely. What if I told you that instead of chasing her attention, you could command her respect? Instead of trying to win her over, you could become the man she feels compelled to admire? The secret lies in mastering 10 powerful silent actions. These aren't manipulative tricks or cheap tactics. They're grounded in timeless Stoic wisdom and practical psychology. These principles allow you to communicate strength, confidence, and value without ever needing to shout for attention. When you master these actions, everything changes. Not just in your relationships, but in how you see yourself as a man. Think about it. What would your life look like if you stopped chasing entirely? Imagine stepping into every interaction with a calm, unshakable confidence, knowing your worth and letting it speak for itself. This isn't about playing games, it's about reclaiming your power. When you understand these silent actions, you'll not only make women respect you, but you'll respect yourself in ways you never thought possible. So here's my promise to you. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to become the kind of man women can't ignore and won't want to lose. Each of these 10 principles is a step toward unlocking your inner strength, building authentic connections, and becoming the version of yourself you've always aspired to be. But let me warn you, these aren't quick fixes. True value takes work, discipline, and consistency. If you're here looking for easy answers, this isn't the place. But if you're ready to challenge yourself, to step into your power and command the respect you deserve, then you're exactly where you need to be. Are you ready? Let's dive into the first and perhaps the most critical silent action: the art of never chasing. Because once you understand this, everything else will fall into place. Number 1. Never chase, always attract. Why do men chase? It's a question worth asking because, let's be honest, most of us have been there. You meet a woman who seems perfect, and when she starts to pull away, panic sets in. You text her more often, you plan elaborate dates, you try to fix what feels broken. It feels logical in the moment. If you show her how much you care, surely she'll come back, right? But here's the harsh truth. The more you chase, the faster she runs. Chasing is rooted in fear. Fear of losing her, fear of being alone, fear that you're not enough. And the more you act out of fear, the less attractive you become. Women, whether they realize it or not, are drawn to confidence and repelled by desperation. When you chase, you send a silent message. I need you to validate me. And let's face it, that's not the message of a man who commands respect. So how do you flip this dynamic? How do you go from chasing to attracting? The answer lies in one simple yet profound principle: embody calm, unshakable confidence. This is where Stoicism becomes your greatest ally. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. You can't control how she feels or what she does, but you can control how you respond. And when you respond with composure, you reclaim your power. Let's break this down with a scenario. You're seeing someone and things seem to be going well. Then, suddenly, her texts become less frequent. She seems distant. What's your first instinct? Most men would double their efforts, send another text, plan another date, maybe even confront her about what's changed. But what if you did the opposite? What if, instead of leaning in, you step back? This isn't about playing games or trying to manipulate her feelings. It's about valuing your time and energy enough to say, if she's pulling away, that's her choice. I won't chase. By stepping back, you communicate a powerful message without saying a word. I am worth pursuing. If you're not willing to invest in this, I won't either. Here's why this works. Humans are wired to value what feels scarce. When something or someone is too easily available, we subconsciously devalue it. By not chasing, you create space for her to wonder about you, to miss you, and to reevaluate her own behavior. This taps into principles of dark psychology and Stoic restraint. You're not reacting emotionally. You're observing, staying composed, and letting her come to her own conclusions. Now you might be thinking, won't stepping back make her lose interest completely? The answer is simple. Not if she's genuinely interested. If her feelings are real, she'll notice your shift and be drawn to your self-respect and emotional maturity. If she doesn't, then let me ask you this. Why would you want to invest in someone who doesn't recognize your value anyway? Stoicism reminds us that sometimes letting go of what isn't serving us makes space for something or someone better. By refusing to chase, you're not just protecting your dignity, you're setting a standard for how you expect to be treated. But how do you actually stop chasing? It starts with shifting your focus back to yourself. Reinvest in your hobbies, passions, and friendships. When the urge to reach out strikes, pause and ask yourself, what am I hoping to achieve? Is this action aligned with my self-respect? It's not about ignoring her or being cold. It's about channeling your energy into becoming a man so fulfilled and magnetic that chasing anyone feels unnecessary. Here's a mindset shift that can change everything. Attraction isn't about clinging to someone else. It's about becoming someone worth being drawn to. When you embody this mindset, you don't just make her value you, you start valuing yourself in ways you never thought possible. So let me leave you with this thought. What would your life look like if you stopped chasing entirely? Imagine the peace, confidence, and clarity this shift could bring. Women respect men who respect themselves. And when you stop chasing, you show the world and yourself that your worth isn't up for negotiation. Number 2, set boundaries without words. Let me ask you something. When someone crosses a line with you, how do you respond? Do you feel the need to explain yourself, argue your case, or over-justify your feelings? Most men do. They believe that if they can just explain their perspective well enough, others will respect their boundaries. But here's the reality. Boundaries aren't respected because of what you say. They're respected because of what you do. Think of boundaries as invisible lines that protect your time, energy, and emotions. They don't require loud declarations or dramatic ultimatums. In fact, the most powerful boundaries are often the quietest. Why? Because they're reflected in how you carry yourself, the choices you make, and the behaviors you tolerate or refuse to tolerate. Here's a powerful mindset shift. You don't need to announce your boundaries to make them real. You just need to live them. For example, let's say someone constantly cancels plans at the last minute. You don't need to lecture them about respecting your time. Instead, you quietly stop making plans with them. Or imagine someone disrespects you with sarcastic remarks or dismissive comments. You don't need to confront them with an emotional speech. You simply step back, reduce their access to you, and let your silence do the talking. This silent strength is rooted in Stoicism. The Stoics believed in controlling their own actions and emotions rather than trying to control others. You can't force someone to respect your boundaries, but you can enforce them by holding yourself to the standards you expect from others. When people see that you won't bend, beg, or compromise your self-respect, they have two choices: rise to meet your standards or fall away. Either way, you win. Let's take a real-world example. Imagine you're dating someone who habitually makes sarcastic or dismissive comments about your feelings. Most men would either laugh it off to avoid conflict or engage in a heated argument to defend themselves. But here's a better approach. The next time it happens, respond with calm detachment. Don't laugh. Don't engage. Don't explain. Simply let the comment hang in the air and maintain your composure. If she's paying attention, she'll notice the shift in your energy. If she's not, then ask yourself, why would you continue investing in someone who doesn't value you? Setting boundaries without words doesn't mean ignoring problems or bottling up your emotions. It means letting your actions do the talking. When you calmly walk away from disrespect or refuse to engage in unnecessary drama, you send a clear message. I value myself too much to entertain this behavior. Here's the truth about boundaries. They're not about keeping people out. They're about protecting what's within. When you enforce your boundaries, you're not just teaching others how to treat you. You're also reinforcing your own self-worth. This is where dark Stoic psychology becomes a game changer. It's not about manipulation. It's about embodying quiet confidence that naturally commands respect. But let's address a common fear. What if setting boundaries pushes people away? Here's the hard truth. If someone leaves because you enforced a boundary, they were never truly invested in you or your well-being. Losing someone who doesn't respect you is never truly a loss. In fact, it's an opportunity to create space for people who will. Think about it. The people who genuinely care about you will appreciate your boundaries because they understand they're rooted in self-respect. They'll see your boundaries not as walls, but as guidelines for building a healthier connection with you. The ones who don't? They'll reveal themselves quickly, saving you time and emotional energy in the long run. Here's a challenge for you. The next time someone crosses a line, resist the urge to explain or defend yourself. Instead, pause and consider how you can respond with quiet, deliberate action. Maybe it's choosing not to respond to a disrespectful message. Maybe it's declining a request that doesn't align with your priorities. These small, intentional choices add up and create a ripple effect that transforms how others perceive and treat you. Let me leave you with this thought. Boundaries aren't about being confrontational or difficult. They're about being clear on what you value and refusing to compromise on it. When you set and enforce boundaries without needing to shout them from the rooftops, you create an environment where only the right people can thrive. And that, my friend, is how you build relationships based on mutual respect and authenticity. Number 3, carry yourself with pride. Picture this. You walk into a room and without saying a single word, heads turn. It's not because of what you're wearing or how loud you are. It's the way you carry yourself, the quiet confidence, the deliberate composure, and the undeniable aura of self-respect. Women notice it, men notice it, and most importantly, you notice it. This is the power of carrying yourself with pride. But what does it mean to carry yourself with pride? Let's start with what it's not. It's not about arrogance or trying to impress others. It's not about wearing flashy clothes or boasting about your achievements. True pride is rooted in self-respect. It's about knowing your worth, embracing your flaws, and showing up in the world with authenticity and strength. Here's the truth. The way you see yourself sets the tone for how others perceive and treat you. If you constantly apologize unnecessarily, diminish your accomplishments, or avoid eye contact, you send a subtle message that you lack confidence. But when you stand tall, hold your head high, and move with purpose, you communicate something entirely different. I know my value, and I'm not afraid to own it. Let's break this down into actionable steps. 1. Your posture speaks volumes. Imagine 2 men walking into the same room. One slouches, his eyes dart nervously, and his movements are rushed. The other walks with his shoulders back, head held high, and movements that are calm and deliberate. Which one commands respect? Which one appears confident? The answer is obvious. Your posture is the foundation of how you present yourself. Stand tall. Keep your shoulders relaxed but upright. Walk with purpose. These small adjustments might seem trivial, but they have a profound impact on how others perceive you and how you perceive yourself. Number 2. Eye contact is key. Nothing communicates confidence like strong, steady eye contact. It says, I see you, and I'm not afraid to be seen. This doesn't mean you should stare people down. That can come across as aggressive. Instead, aim for a balance. Maintain eye contact while staying relaxed and grounded in your energy. Practice this in everyday interactions, whether you're talking to a colleague, a stranger, or someone you're dating. Over time, it will become second nature. 3. The pause is magnetic. Most people rush to fill silences in conversations, fearing awkwardness or rejection. But a man who is comfortable in his own skin doesn't need to fill every gap with words. The ability to pause before speaking or to sit comfortably in silence is magnetic. It shows that you're in control, that you're not seeking validation through constant chatter. Try this. The next time you're in a conversation, pause for a moment before responding. Let your words carry weight, not just noise. 4. Dress with intention. This isn't about expensive suits or designer brands. It's about dressing in a way that reflects respect for yourself. Wear clothes that fit well, make you feel confident, and align with how you want to be perceived. Groom yourself thoughtfully, not for others, but because you take pride in how you present yourself. When you show that you care about the details, it sends a message. I care about myself, and I'm worth the effort. 5. Stillness is strength. In a world that's constantly moving and demanding attention, stillness is rare and powerful. A man who remains calm under pressure exudes strength. When others panic, he stays composed. When emotions run high, he remains grounded. This kind of stillness doesn't come naturally. It's cultivated through discipline, reflection, and the willingness to face discomfort without reacting impulsively. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you find yourself in a stressful situation, resist the urge to react immediately. Take a deep breath, center yourself, and respond only when you're ready. This habit of composure will transform how others see you and how you see yourself. When you carry yourself with pride, you're not just projecting confidence, you're living it. You become the man who doesn't seek approval, but attracts respect effortlessly. And here's the kicker. It's not just women who will notice. Your colleagues, your friends, even strangers will sense that you're different, that you hold yourself to a higher standard. So let me ask you, how would your relationships change if you fully embraced your worth and carried yourself with pride? What would your life look like if you stopped trying to prove your value and simply embodied it? When you carry yourself with pride, you set the tone for how others treat you. You stop tolerating mediocrity, disrespect, and half-hearted efforts. Instead, you attract people and opportunities that align with your self-worth because they see that you already value yourself. If this resonates with you, it's time to move on to the next silent action that will amplify your presence even further. Mastering the art of nonverbal communication. Because sometimes the most powerful things you say don't involve words at all. Number 4. Master nonverbal communication. Have you ever noticed that some men command attention without saying a single word? They walk into a room and instantly the energy shifts. It's not about their clothes or what they say. It's about how they carry themselves. This is the silent language of nonverbal communication. And if you master it, you can project confidence, authority, and self-respect effortlessly. Here's the truth. Women, and people in general, pay more attention to your actions, posture, and expressions than to your words. In fact, the majority of communication is nonverbal. Your body language, eye contact, and even your stillness speak volumes about who you are and how you see yourself. So, what message are you sending without realizing it? Your posture is a direct reflection of your confidence. Slouching or hunching signals insecurity, while standing tall with your shoulders back projects strength and self-assurance. Picture a king surveying his kingdom, calm, composed, and in control. That's the energy you want to embody. The next time you're standing in front of a mirror, check your posture. Straighten your back, lift your chin slightly, and let your shoulders relax. Practice this daily until it becomes second nature. Your posture isn't just about looking confident, it's about feeling confident. Another powerful tool is eye contact. Strong, steady eye contact communicates that you're engaged, confident, and unafraid to be seen. It says, I'm here, I see you, and I'm not backing down. But there's a fine line. You don't want to stare aggressively. Instead, hold your gaze calmly and intentionally. Whether you're speaking to someone or simply entering a room, eye contact creates a connection and shows that you're grounded in your own energy. Practice this in everyday interactions, and you'll notice how it transforms the way others respond to you. Stillness is another overlooked but incredibly magnetic aspect of nonverbal communication. In a world that's constantly moving and demanding attention, a man who can remain calm and composed stands out. Stillness shows control. It says you don't need to rush, fidget, or overreact. The next time you're in a conversation or even a tense situation, Resist the urge to fill every silence or react impulsively. Take a breath, hold your ground, and respond only when you're ready. This kind of composure is rare and powerful. Your appearance also plays a role in nonverbal communication. This isn't about expensive suits or designer brands. It's about intentionality, wearing clothes that fit well, grooming yourself thoughtfully, and presenting yourself as someone who respects himself. The way you look is a reflection of how you value yourself. When you dress and groom with care, you send a silent message: I'm worth the effort. It's not about impressing others. It's about aligning your appearance with your own self-respect. Finally, restraint is a subtle but powerful tool in nonverbal communication. Too often, men overshare, over-apologize, or overcompensate in conversations. These behaviors come from insecurity and a need for validation. Instead, practice stillness and say less. When you choose your words carefully and let your actions speak louder, you create an aura of self-possession that's impossible to ignore. The same principle applies to relationships. Don't reveal everything about yourself too quickly. Restraint isn't about playing games. It's about creating intrigue and showing that your energy is valuable and not easily given away. The beauty of mastering nonverbal communication lies in its subtlety. It's not about grand gestures or trying to dominate a space. It's about showing up as your authentic self with quiet confidence. The way you walk, sit, or even tilt your head while listening communicates volumes. When your body language aligns with your internal confidence, people take notice without you needing to say a word. Nonverbal communication is a skill that can transform your presence and interactions. When you master it, you don't need to shout for attention or prove your worth. Instead, your silent actions speak for you. This is the kind of magnetism that doesn't just attract women, it earns their respect. Now that you understand the power of nonverbal communication, let's move on to the next silent action: knowing your worth. Because nothing is more attractive than a man who truly values himself. Number 5, know your worth. Let me ask you this: do you really know your worth? I'm not talking about what others say about you or how much you earn. I mean your true intrinsic value. Most men, whether they realize it or not, let their sense of worth be defined by external factors. They measure it through their job title, the car they drive, or how much attention they get from women. But here's the truth. Your worth is not up for negotiation. It's not something anyone else can grant or take away. It simply is. Imagine yourself as a rare gem. Not everyone will recognize your brilliance, and some might even walk past without a second glance. But does that make the gem any less valuable? Absolutely not. Its value remains unwavering, regardless of whether others see it. The same is true for you. The question is, do you see it for yourself? Knowing your worth is one of the most magnetic traits a man can possess. It's not about arrogance or boasting. It's about moving through life with quiet confidence and unshakable self-respect. When you truly value yourself, it changes everything. How you interact with women, how you set boundaries, and how others perceive and treat you. They begin to sense that you're not just another man looking for validation. You're someone who knows he deserves respect, effort, and care. But how do you get to this place of deep self-worth? It starts with self-reflection, a practice deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that understanding your virtues, your core strengths and principles, was key to living a meaningful life. So take a moment and think about what makes you unique. Not the surface-level stuff, like your height or the clothes you wear, but the deeper traits. Are you loyal, determined, empathetic? Do you stay calm under pressure or have a creative spark that sets you apart? These are the building blocks of your value. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you feel undervalued, pause and reflect on your virtues. Instead of spiraling into self-doubt, ask yourself, what qualities do I bring to this situation? Maybe you've shown patience in a difficult moment or kindness that positively impacted someone else. Write these down, not to brag, but to remind yourself of your inherent worth. When you anchor yourself in your virtues, you stop seeking validation from others. You begin to see yourself as whole, independent of anyone else's opinions. When you truly know your worth, something incredible happens. You stop tolerating poor treatment. You don't settle for less than you deserve. Not because you're prideful, but because you respect yourself too much to accept anything less. And here's the kicker. Others will pick up on this energy. They'll see that you're not a man who begs for attention or approval. You're someone who chooses relationships and connections that align with your values, not your insecurities. Think about this. If you don't value yourself, how can you expect anyone else to? The way you see yourself sets the tone for how others see you. This isn't just a motivational theory. It's a law of human dynamics. When you carry yourself with self-respect, you naturally raise the standards of those around you. Women in particular are drawn to men who exude quiet confidence. It's not about being loud or flashy, it's about being grounded in your own worth. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have control over your mind, not external events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Your worth is entirely within your control. It's not about what happens around you or how others treat you. It's about how you choose to see yourself. So let me ask you again, what makes you unique? What qualities set you apart? Take a moment to reflect on these questions. When you truly see your value, something powerful shifts. You stop chasing, overthinking, or worrying about how others perceive you. Instead, you radiate a quiet, irresistible confidence that makes others want to rise to meet your standards. When you operate from a place of self-worth, your relationships improve, your career thrives, and your overall sense of fulfillment deepens. You're no longer at the mercy of external validation. Instead, you become the kind of man who commands respect effortlessly. If you've made it this far, it means you're ready to unlock this level of confidence. So let's move to the next silent action, watching actions, not words. Because in the end, what people do reveals their character far more than what they say. Number 6, watch actions, not words. Have you ever been swept away by someone's words, only to later realize their actions told a completely different story? It's an experience almost every man has faced, and it can be frustrating, even humiliating. A woman might say all the right things, make promises that sound perfect, or paint a picture of a future that seems almost too good to be true. And often it is. Here's a fundamental truth. Words are cheap. Actions are where the truth lives. Stoicism teaches us to observe reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. This principle is crucial in relationships. Paying attention to someone's actions instead of their words protects your emotional well-being and helps you align with people who truly value you. Words can manipulate, distract, and deceive. Actions, however, reveal intent, character, and priorities. Think about how many times you've been let down by someone who made big promises but didn't follow through. Maybe she said she cared deeply for you, but didn't show up when you needed her. Maybe she made plans only to cancel at the last minute, leaving you feeling unimportant. These inconsistencies are not just minor annoyances. They're red flags that reveal a lack of alignment between what she says and who she truly is. Here's where stoicism and restraint come into play. Instead of reacting emotionally to words, take a step back and observe behavior. Does her effort match her promises? Does she show consistency in the small things, like keeping her word or respecting your time? These patterns matter more than any poetic words she might say. By focusing on actions, you eliminate the guesswork and see people for who they really are. Let's dig into this with a practical example. Imagine you're dating someone who often talks about how much she values honesty and loyalty. It sounds great, but what happens when she's late without explanation or avoids difficult conversations? Do her actions match her values? If not, it's time to pay attention to the disconnect. Actions are the clearest indicators of someone's true priorities and integrity. This principle applies not just to others, but to yourself as well. Just as you evaluate someone else's behavior, you need to reflect on your own. Are you consistent in how you show up? Do your actions align with the man you aspire to be? Women notice these things. When you demonstrate self-respect, follow through on your commitments, and live by your values, you naturally command respect without needing to ask for it. But what if someone's actions reveal a lack of alignment with their words? Here's where the real power of this principle comes in. Instead of confronting them with frustration or demanding explanations, quietly take note. Adjust your boundaries accordingly and let their actions guide your decisions. For example, if she repeatedly cancels plans, stop initiating them. If she says she's interested but doesn't put in effort, step back and let her actions speak for themselves. This isn't about being cold or dismissive. It's about protecting your peace and investing your energy in relationships that are real. It's also worth noting that watching actions requires patience. People reveal themselves over time, not all at once. Don't rush to conclusions based on one slip-up or mistake. Instead, observe the patterns. Consistency, or the lack of it, will show you everything you need to know. A woman who truly values and respects you will show it through her actions, not just her words. Here's a simple exercise to put this into practice. The next time you're uncertain about someone's intentions, resist the urge to ask for clarification. Instead, observe their behavior over time. Do they follow through on their commitments? Do they treat you with care and respect, even when it's inconvenient for them? Let their actions speak louder than their words ever could. This principle isn't about being cynical or distrusting. It's about being wise. By focusing on actions, you protect yourself from false promises and build connections that are grounded in authenticity and trust. You also set a higher standard for yourself and those around you, ensuring that your relationships are built on mutual respect and effort. When you live by this principle, something remarkable happens. You stop giving your power away to empty words and start taking control of your emotional experience. You attract relationships that are real, honest, and aligned with your values. And you'll find that this clarity isn't just liberating, it's deeply empowering. Now that you understand the power of watching actions, not words, let's move on to the next silent action: embracing change with grace. Because in life and relationships, the only constant is change, and how you handle it says everything about your strength and self-worth. Number 7, embrace change with grace. Change, it's one of the few constants in life, yet it's something many men fear, especially in relationships. Maybe you've felt it before. Things start to shift, the dynamic changes, and suddenly you're faced with uncertainty. Your instinct might be to resist, to cling to what's familiar, or to fight for things to stay the same. But here's the truth. Resisting change only creates friction and frustration. The more you try to control what's beyond your power, the more you lose control of yourself. Stoicism offers a different perspective. It teaches us that while we can't control external events, we can always control how we respond to them. Change, no matter how uncomfortable, is a natural part of life and relationships. Whether it's the fading spark in a connection, evolving priorities, or the end of a relationship, how you handle these moments speaks volumes about your strength and self-worth. Let's break this down with a scenario. Imagine you're in a relationship and things start to feel different. Maybe she's becoming distant, or external circumstances are making it harder to connect. Your first instinct might be to panic, to hold on tighter, to try to fix things immediately. But what if, instead of resisting the change, you accepted it? What if you took a deep breath, stepped back, and reminded yourself that uncertainty is part of the journey? Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of the need to control and trusting yourself to handle whatever comes next. This shift in mindset is transformative. When you embrace change with grace, you show strength, not just to others, but to yourself. You become adaptable, resilient, and unafraid of growth. And that kind of energy, it's magnetic. Here's a truth about relationships: they're not static. They're living, breathing entities that grow and shift over time. Sometimes they deepen, sometimes they fade, and sometimes they transform into something entirely new. The Stoic principle of detachment teaches us to appreciate what we have in the moment without clinging to it out of fear. This doesn't mean you care any less. It means you're willing to let things unfold naturally, even if the outcome isn't what you expected. Think of it this way: every change in your relationships is an opportunity to grow. Maybe a breakup teaches you to value yourself more. Maybe a shift in dynamics challenges you to communicate better. Or maybe letting go of something that no longer serves you creates space for something even more fulfilling. Change, when approached with the right mindset, isn't the end. It's the beginning of something new. But let's be honest, embracing change isn't easy. It requires courage, patience, and a deep trust in yourself. It means facing uncertainty with open arms instead of clenched fists. And most importantly, it means staying rooted in your values, even when the ground beneath you feels shaky. Here's a practical way to navigate change with grace. Focus on what you can control: your actions, your mindset, and your energy. If a relationship is shifting, ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that reflects my worth? Maybe it's having an honest conversation. Maybe it's stepping back to give things room to breathe. Whatever the situation, make choices that align with your values, not your fears. There's also a profound beauty in trusting the process. When you stop clinging to what was and start embracing what is, you create space for life to surprise you. Sometimes the very thing you feared losing wasn't meant for you. And by letting it go, you open the door to something even better. Think of it like this. When a tree loses its leaves in the fall, it's not dying, it's preparing for new growth. The same is true for you. Every season of change is an opportunity to shed what no longer serves you and step into a stronger, more self-assured version of yourself. So let me ask you, what if you stopped fearing change and started seeing it as a gift? What if you trusted that no matter what happens, you have the strength to adapt, grow, and thrive? Imagine how much lighter your heart would feel if you let go of the need to control and simply allowed life to unfold. When you embrace change with grace, you become unshakable. You show the world and yourself that you're not defined by the outcome of any single relationship. You're defined by how you show up, even in the face of uncertainty. And that kind of strength, it's unforgettable. Let's move on to the next silent action: developing healthy skepticism. Because in a world full of words and promises, learning to discern what's real is one of the most powerful tools a man can possess. Number 8. Develop healthy skepticism. How often do you take someone's words at face value? It's tempting, isn't it? Especially when you're caught up in the excitement of a new connection or relationship. Sweet words and bold promises can feel intoxicating. But here's the truth. Words are easy to say, and they often mean very little. What truly matters is the consistency and integrity behind those words. Healthy skepticism is not about being jaded or distrustful. It's about staying grounded in reality and protecting your emotional well-being. It means taking a step back to observe before fully investing your time, energy, or heart. Stoicism teaches us to value logic over emotion, to see things as they are, not as we wish them to be. This mindset is essential for building authentic, fulfilling relationships. Think about how many times you've been disappointed by someone who said all the right things but failed to follow through. Maybe she promised consistency, but only showed up sporadically. Maybe she talked about the future, but never took any real steps toward building it. These moments are painful, but they're also opportunities to learn and grow. Here's the power of healthy skepticism. It allows you to slow down and truly evaluate someone's intentions. Instead of being swept up in their words, you give yourself the time to see if their actions align with their claims. This isn't about testing them or playing games. It's about creating clarity for yourself. If their words and actions match, trust grows naturally. If they don't, you save yourself from unnecessary pain. Let's break this down with a practical example. Imagine you meet someone who seems perfect. She's charming, attentive, and says all the things you want to hear. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of excitement. But instead of diving in headfirst, pause. Observe. Does she follow through on her promises? Does her behavior reflect her words? Over time, consistency, or the lack of it, will reveal everything you need to know. This principle isn't just about protecting yourself from deceit, it's also about understanding people more deeply. Healthy skepticism encourages you to ask thoughtful questions, to listen actively, and to approach connections with curiosity rather than assumption. This aligns with the principles of dark Stoic psychology. Staying present, observing dynamics, and making decisions based on evidence, not emotions. There's another layer to this principle: applying skepticism to your own emotions. Sometimes we want something to work so badly that we convince ourselves to overlook red flags or settle for less than we deserve. By practicing self-awareness and questioning your own reactions, you ensure that your decisions come from a place of confidence and clarity, not fear or desperation. You might wonder, doesn't skepticism make me seem untrusting? The answer lies in how you approach it. Healthy skepticism isn't about doubting or accusing. It's about quietly observing and letting actions reveal the truth. It's about giving people the space to show you who they are without rushing to conclusions. When approached this way, skepticism isn't a barrier, it's a filter. It helps you separate what's real from what's superficial. Here's a simple exercise to develop healthy skepticism. The next time someone makes a promise or declaration, resist the urge to immediately take it to heart. Instead, make a mental note and observe. Over time, their actions will either confirm their words or expose inconsistencies. This approach isn't about testing them. It's about giving yourself the gift of clarity and protecting your emotional well-being. But let's address a common fear. What if skepticism makes you miss out on something genuine? Here's the reality. If someone is truly aligned with you, their actions will naturally reflect their words. Trust will grow organically, without the need for constant reassurance. And if they're not genuine, your skepticism saves you from investing in something that wasn't real to begin with. Either way, you win. This principle is about honoring your worth. It's about saying, I'm willing to give you a chance, but I won't abandon my standards or ignore my instincts just to make this work. That kind of mindset is deeply attractive because it shows that you value yourself enough to prioritize authenticity and emotional safety. When you approach relationships with both an open heart and a discerning mind, you create space for connections that are meaningful and fulfilling. You protect yourself from empty promises and align yourself with people who truly value you. This is the power of healthy skepticism. It empowers you to navigate relationships with clarity, confidence, and self-respect. Now that you understand this principle, let's move on to the next silent action, the power of saying no. Because sometimes the most powerful way to command respect is knowing when to refuse. Number 9, the power of saying no. When was the last time you said yes when you really wanted to say no? Maybe it was to avoid disappointing someone, or perhaps you were afraid of how they might react. It's a familiar trap, isn't it? Society often teaches men to be accommodating, flexible, and agreeable, especially in relationships. But here's the hard truth. Every time you say yes to something that goes against your values or boundaries, you're saying no to yourself, and nothing erodes your self-respect faster than betraying your own principles. Saying no isn't just a word, it's a declaration of self-respect. It's a way of showing the world and yourself that your boundaries matter, your feelings are valid, and your time is precious. But let's face it, saying no can feel risky, especially in relationships. What if she reacts poorly? What if she pulls away? These fears are real, but they pale in comparison to the strength and dignity you gain by standing firm in your truth. Imagine this scenario. You're dating someone, and she suggests something that makes you uncomfortable. Maybe it's moving faster than you'd like, or perhaps it conflicts with your personal values. The easy route might be to agree just to avoid conflict. But deep down, you know that saying yes would feel like a betrayal of yourself. This is where the power of saying no becomes transformative. By calmly and confidently expressing your boundary, you're not just protecting yourself. You're setting a standard. You're saying, this is who I am, and I value myself enough to stay true to that. When delivered with grace, a firm no often commands more respect than a hesitant yes ever could. Saying no isn't about being difficult or unkind. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what you stand for and refusing to compromise on it. And here's where Stoicism becomes your greatest ally. The Stoics teach us that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act in alignment with our principles, despite it. When you say no, you're exercising that courage. You're choosing self-respect over the fear of rejection or conflict. But what if your no pushes her away? Here's the reality. If someone can't handle your boundaries, they're not the right person for you. A relationship built on mutual respect won't crumble because you stood up for yourself. On the contrary, a woman who truly values you will see your no as a reflection of your strength and self-assurance. And if she doesn't, then you've just saved yourself the pain of investing in a relationship that wasn't aligned with your values. Here's an example. Imagine someone invites you into a situation that doesn't sit right with you. Instead of nervously explaining why you can't or making excuses, respond with quiet confidence. That doesn't work for me. No anger, no drama, just a clear and firm boundary. This simplicity is powerful. It communicates that you know yourself and respect your needs. Saying no also extends beyond relationships. It's a practice that touches every area of your life. It's about recognizing when something doesn't serve you and having the courage to walk away. Whether it's declining an invitation, stepping away from a draining friendship, or refusing to settle for less in your career, every no is a step toward reclaiming your energy and focus. But let's be real. Saying no isn't always easy. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. You might worry about being perceived as rude or uncooperative. But here's a question to consider. Who is more important, the people you're trying to please, or the version of yourself you're trying to honor? The answer is clear. Saying no is a radical act of self-love, and like any skill, it becomes easier with practice. Here's a practical way to start. The next time you feel the urge to say yes out of guilt or fear, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this in alignment with my values? Will this bring me closer to the life I want to create? If the answer is no, give yourself permission to honor that. Remember, a no doesn't have to be harsh or defensive. It can be kind, calm, and firm. This principle ties closely to dark Stoic psychology because it challenges the dynamics of power and control in relationships. By saying no, you subtly but powerfully assert your independence. You signal that your worth isn't tied to someone else's approval or acceptance. And that, my friend, is a deeply attractive quality. Let me leave you with this thought. Saying no is not a rejection of others. It's an affirmation of yourself. It's about creating space in your life for what truly matters, for the people and opportunities that align with your values and elevate your journey. So the next time you're faced with a choice, remember this. Your no is your power. Use it wisely and watch how it transforms not just your relationships, but your entire sense of self. Now that you understand the power of saying no, let's move on to the final silent action, carrying yourself with pride. Because how you present yourself to the world defines how the world treats you. Number 10, carry yourself with pride. Picture this. You walk into a room and without uttering a single word, heads turn. It's not because of your clothes or the way you look, it's the way you carry yourself. Your energy, your posture, your calm confidence, it all speaks volumes. You don't demand attention, but you command it. This is the silent power of carrying yourself with pride. But what does it truly mean to carry yourself with pride? Let's start with what it's not. It's not about arrogance, showing off, or trying to outshine others. True pride isn't loud. It's quiet, grounded in self-respect and authenticity. It's about knowing your worth and embracing it, flaws and all. A man who carries himself with pride doesn't need to prove anything. His presence alone makes a statement. Here's the truth. The way you see yourself sets the standard for how others will see and treat you. If you constantly second-guess yourself, avoid eye contact, or apologize unnecessarily, you're sending a subtle signal of insecurity. But when you hold your head high, walk with purpose, and own your space, you radiate an entirely different energy. An energy that commands respect without ever needing to ask for it. Carrying yourself with pride starts with your posture. It might seem simple, but how you stand and walk communicates more than you think. Shoulders back, chest slightly out, head held high. This isn't just about looking confident, it's about feeling confident. Your posture influences your state of mind. When you stand tall, you feel more capable and in control, and others will naturally pick up on that energy. Eye contact is another cornerstone of pride. When you maintain steady, intentional eye contact, you show that you're grounded in your own energy. It says, I see you, and I'm not afraid to be seen. This doesn't mean staring someone down, that can come across as aggressive, but rather engaging with a calm and steady gaze. Whether in a conversation, a meeting, or a social setting, strong eye contact exudes confidence and self-assuredness. Your movements also tell a story. Are your gestures rushed or deliberate? Do you fidget or do you move with purpose? A man who carries himself with pride moves slowly and intentionally. He doesn't feel the need to rush or overcompensate. This stillness communicates control. In a world that's constantly chaotic, a man who remains composed and steady stands out. But pride isn't just about how you move, it's also about how you present yourself. This doesn't mean you need designer clothes or a perfect physique. It means taking the time to dress in a way that reflects self-respect. Wear clothes that fit well and make you feel confident. Groom yourself thoughtfully, not for others, but because you care about how you show up in the world. These small acts send a powerful message. I value myself, and I'm worth the effort. Pride also comes from resilience. Everyone has bad days, moments of insecurity, and situations where they feel off. What matters is how you handle those moments. Do you dwell on them, or do you learn, grow, and move forward? A man who carries himself with pride doesn't let mistakes define him. He uses them as fuel for growth. This resilience is what sets him apart. Stoicism ties into this beautifully. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. You can't control how others perceive you, but you can control how you present yourself. Carrying yourself with pride means showing up as the best version of yourself, not for others, but because you deserve it. When you embody this mindset, you naturally attract respect and admiration. Let's consider how this principle applies to your interactions. Do you constantly try to please or impress, or do you let your actions and presence speak for themselves? A man who carries himself with pride doesn't chase approval. He sets the tone for how others treat him by how he treats himself. When you honor your worth, you stop tolerating disrespect or mediocrity. You attract people who align with your values because they see that you already value yourself. Here's the beauty of carrying yourself with pride. It's not about being perfect. It's about being authentic. It's about showing up, flaws and all, and owning who you are. This kind of confidence is rare and magnetic. It draws people in because it's real. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about fully embracing who you are and letting that shine. So let me ask you, what would your life look like if you fully embraced your worth and carried yourself accordingly? What if, instead of trying to impress others, you focused on being your authentic, confident self? When you carry yourself with pride, you stop chasing attention and start commanding respect. You become a man who doesn't settle for less because he knows he deserves more. This brings us to the end of the 10 silent actions, but the journey doesn't stop here. These principles aren't just about attracting others. They're about transforming yourself. When you embody these actions, you become the kind of man who doesn't just demand respect, you inspire it. Thank you for making it this far. Let's move to the conclusion, where we'll tie everything together and discuss how these principles can create lasting change in your life. We've journeyed through 10 powerful silent actions that, when mastered, can transform not only your relationships, but your entire life. Let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. From the art of never chasing to carrying yourself with pride, each principle builds upon the next, creating a foundation of confidence, self-respect, and quiet strength. These actions aren't about playing games or manipulating others. They're about becoming the kind of man who commands respect simply by being himself. Think about what these actions represent. When you stop chasing and start attracting, you shift the dynamic in your relationships. You move from seeking approval to embodying value. When you set boundaries without words, you show the world and yourself that your time and energy are not to be taken for granted. Mastering nonverbal communication allows you to project confidence and authority without ever saying a word. And knowing your worth ensures that you never settle for less than you deserve. But this journey isn't just about how others perceive you. It's about how you perceive yourself. The way you carry yourself, the way you respond to challenges, the way you honor your boundaries. All of these actions reflect your internal self-worth. And when you respect yourself, the world has no choice but to follow suit. Let's not forget the power of observing actions over words. By watching what people do rather than what they say, you align yourself with authenticity and protect your peace. Embracing change with grace shows resilience and adaptability, qualities that make you unshakable in the face of life's uncertainties. Developing healthy skepticism ensures that you build relationships on truth, not illusion. And learning to say no reinforces your standards, reminding both yourself and others of the respect you deserve. Finally, carrying yourself with pride ties everything together. It's not about arrogance or perfection. It's about owning who you are and moving through the world with quiet confidence. When you embody these principles, you don't just become someone women admire. You become someone who inspires respect in every aspect of life. But here's the most important takeaway. This journey isn't about anyone else. It's about you. These silent actions are tools to help you unlock your full potential as a man. They're about creating a life where you attract not just respect, but relationships, opportunities, and success that align with your values. When you embody these principles, you stop reacting to the world and start shaping it. Now let me ask you, what would your life look like if you committed to mastering these actions? Imagine walking into every situation with unshakable confidence, knowing your worth, and letting that quiet strength speak for itself. Imagine building relationships that are rooted in mutual respect, where you're valued not for what you do, but for who you are. That's the kind of life these actions can create. A life of dignity, depth, and lasting value. If this resonates with you, I want you to take action right now. Commit to yourself. Choose one of these principles and start implementing it today. Maybe it's practicing restraint, setting a boundary, or simply standing a little taller. Small changes lead to big transformations, and the sooner you start, the sooner you'll see results. Lastly, remember this. You already have everything you need within you to become the man you aspire to be. These actions are not about creating something you're not. They're about uncovering the strength, confidence, and value that's been there all along. You are worthy of respect, admiration, and love. Never forget that. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments which principles stood out the most. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss out on more insights like this. Together, we're building a community of men who are committed to growth, authenticity, and self-respect. Until next time, keep growing, keep thriving, and most importantly, keep valuing yourself. You've got this.